Acolytes. Boo. Hoyoverse fired a major English voice actor. I mean, it's a voice actor. And for now, I just don't care about those people. Simple as that. They're just getting what they actually freaking, well, provoked. But let's hear Hero High what he has to say about it.
Having a great week. Sorry for missing you yesterday. Had some personal stuff to take care of.
Yeah,
But
don't say sorry,
I
it's
returned
fine.
today to some crazy news. We've got an update in the voice actor stuff over here on the subreddit for Honkai Star Rail, that being a Hoyoverse game for those that don't know. We've got the title. Kalis and Stell have been officially recasted as of version 3.3. Now, as you guys know, I do play Genshin, but I don't actually play Honkai, so I'd like to get some additional context here at GoToGamers.net. We'll just spend like 30 seconds reading the key areas here at the top, where they say, Honkai Star Rail version 3.3, The Fall of Dawn's Rise, dropped on Wednesday, May 21st, with 2 new 5-star characters in Hyacine and Cypher, Hyacine and Cypher, as well as tons of other additions. However, the update also featured a surprising change as the voice actors for the game's main character, the Trailblazer, have been replaced. In Honkai Star Rail, players embark on an interstellar journey as the male or female version of the Trailblazer, commonly known by their canon names Kalis and Stell. Since the game's launch in April 2023, the Trailblazer has been voiced by Caleb Yen, Kalis, and Rachel Chow, Stell. So this is basically like the Honkai version of the Traveler in Genshin. Let's take a look and see if the voice actors who got recast have issued any statement on this yet. Hopping over to Twitter first for Rachel Chow. We can see the bio does still say ENVA for Stell.
Instantly red flag, she-they. I don't know if this is something you have to do, but if I see this already, negative, big negative.
And scrolling down, there is nothing as of May 5th. That's the latest post. But her pinned tweet does say, making the jump. Follow me on Blue Sky at the same handle. Ciao for now. I'll keep Yield Twitter up so you can find me and to protect this glorious handle. All right, hopping.
Wants to go to Blue Sky? Well, it's not a red flag right now. It's a freaking red cannon facing in your face.
Over to Blue Sky. We can see Rachel Chow is also here, but interestingly enough, on Blue Sky, her username is a little bit different, including she/they in the username. Interesting because on Twitter she put she/they in the bio, but over here it's in the title. I don't know. Is that a Blue Sky thing or something?
Yes, it's a Blue Sky thing. Blue Sky is a mainly, let's just say, leftist. I despise saying it like that because I know people that are in the left that actually disagree with the entire thing that's right now. Let's just say for the freak side, Blue Sky is for the freaks of the world. Those who actually support Hassan in his freaking endeavor of supporting very bad people. Let's just say it like that.
I have no idea. But the bio does still say ENVA of Stell and Honkai Star Rail. And similarly to Twitter on this part, no activity lately, and no statement issued about the recasting. As for Caleb Yen, he does also still say Trailblazer in his bio, but I don't believe he's on Blue Sky, so all we'll take a look at is this Twitter account, and there's even less activity here. Pinned tweet from 2021, and the last post actually from back on December 5th, 2024. Let's actually return to the Blue Sky account for Rachel Chow, though. I found something that gives some more context. So 2 months ago, we got this Blue Sky post from Shar that says, to Rachel, so glad you could find happiness and have a great day. I miss you a whole lot in Honkai Star Rail, and I send weekly feedback requesting them to sign the interim agreement for AI protections so you and the other wonderful actors can get back to voicing our beloved characters. Hope for positive news. Now, hopefully, as you know, and something we've talked about extensively on this channel for a few months now, obviously the interim agreement is about a lot more than just AI protections. That's like the whole Trojan horse thing, the whole like manipulative part that a lot of people have been criticizing the VAs, SAG, the agreement for, to put it simply, of course. But I suppose I'll add on to this really quickly for anyone who may be out of the loop on this still. And essentially, one of the biggest issues is that the agreement and these VAs and SAG are trying to flip these games, Hoyoverse games and other games, to be union-only games, which would come with a lot of negative repercussions for VAs who are not a part of the union, such as forcing voice actors who don't want to join the union into joining the union and having to pay those members' dues, or risk being terminated from their positions, from their roles. Nevertheless, Rachel Chow responds and says, "Aw, thank you so much. That is really so kind and helpful of you. Hoping for good news soon too." I guess that didn't age so well, did it? Here's something really funny. So back on the subreddit Honkai Star Rail and the post that we read earlier about this recasting news, you can see a top comment here says, "So it's like Kenichi and Genshin, only new lines for now. Older will be replaced in the future. So it'll be a mix of both VAs for now. There is also lots of NPC VA changes, not even for EN, but looks like for JP also." The response saying, "We live in hope that this means we could still get a recast for Paimon. I will play the heck out of Genshin if they recast Paimon. Give her free runs English VA and I'm sold." So you can see that the people's dream...
Really? Is that such a big deal for Genshin Impact fans? Okay, fair enough, I guess. Fair enough.
...for a Paimon recast is still holding strong, still very much alive. Maybe more alive than ever now. An interesting point at the top about the Kenichi situation and these VAs getting replaced. I do wonder if when we see the announcement of who the new VAs are for the Trailblazers and Honkai, if we'll see, just like we saw happen to Jacob Takanashi, the new VA for Kenichi, that a certain clique of very toxic English voice actors and SAG-AFTRA bootlickers and their supporters will try and harass the new VAs too, just like they did to Jacob Takanashi. Of course, they all know very well how much backlash they got for that situation though, so perhaps this time they won't actually do it, even if they really want to. Maybe now they'll be scared of all the backlash that they will get from the communities and the internet at large. It's really crazy how big of bullies these people are. We literally saw some VAs on Blue Sky saying that people like Jacob Takanashi deserve to be harassed even more, and saying stuff like, "Oh, back in the good old days of unions, people used to get physically assaulted for being scabs," and trying to make it sound like, "Oh, Jacob Takanashi got off easy, and all the fans mad at us really shouldn't be mad at all." By the way, let me also clarify something. This comment we read a moment ago that I said is a top comment is in fact the top comment in the thread, both sorted by top and also sorted by best. Come on, Reddit, what are you doing? There we go. Okay. Speaking of people upset on Blue Sky about this news and getting mad at the fans of these games, there is some stuff we'll take a look at in a moment where, yeah, there's more people mad over on Blue Sky. But first, let's hop over.
Yeah, no shit, Blue, yeah. I mean, for F's sake, this... It's just for... It's Blue Sky. Just gonna tell it like this.
Over to the Genshin Impact subreddit, we took a look at Honkai Star Rail. Now we'll read some over on our Genshin. This post reading, the VAs for Honkai Star Rail main characters have been replaced, which we share the VA of Gaming with. So I guess he'll be replaced soon. Hey, quick side note about that. Do you guys remember when Gaming was released and people in the community were making memes about like gaming, like, wow, they really released a character in a game whose name is Gaming? And then you had a bunch of Twitter cops who are probably now in Blue Sky saying that it's very offensive to make fun of his name. Like, you guys shouldn't be doing that. it's like racist. It's a Chinese name. And it was like some of the most brain rot stuff ever. To take it even further back, it was like when people were mad about the John Lee memes. Oh, you can't call John Lee. That is so problematic, guys. Oh my gosh. Now look, really quick, as much like fun as I'll make at Blue Sky, which is completely justified, by the way, completely justified. I will say, as mentioned, that I have seen some like actually like cool artists on Blue Sky. So I always feel bad for the people that are on Blue Sky that just went there to like share art and stuff and are like not weird. But my gosh, man, that whole website has some serious brain rot issues. It like Twitter is still bad.
Yep.
But I'll say that it got a little bit better, maybe even more than a little bit better, because a lot of those sort of Twitter got people did go over to Blue Sky. That's a fact. And so like while the levels have balanced out a bit more on Twitter, it's like Blue Sky is completely out of balance. There's just so much brain rot there. It's crazy. But going back to this Genshin post about the VAs recasting stuff, most of the responses at the top are responding to the question about like Gaming potentially getting replaced. But here's one that talks about VA stuff in general, saying, what are the odds for Zack and Sarah, Aether and Lumine's VAs, these being the travelers, the main characters in Genshin, to also be replaced? I would also understand if they do that, but not gonna lie, I like them so much, I'd be sad if / when that happens. Now, I don't know anything about Sarah, but I will say about Zack, I actually met him years ago, completely through chance at Anime Expo. was walking around the exhibit hall and he came up to me. We start talking. He mentions he's a voice actor for Genos on One Punch Man, because at the time I think that was his only like notable role. This was way before Genshin. This was before Tanjiro and all that. And yeah, he seemed like a pretty cool, hardworking, chill dude. And I'm assuming all these years later he still is. I haven't really kept up with him, but I can only say good things from my experience with him years ago. So I'm assuming, as mentioned, he's still like that. Point being, he seems like one of the good VAs out there, and I do hope this all works out for him. Taking a little more of a look through this thread before we move on to the blue sky anger. This next comment reading, I just hope they won't recast Zack. Him, Zhongli, and Ito VAs are the only ones I hope don't get recast. And then this one reading, apparently we have reached the found out portion of FAFO. It's sad too. I do enjoy the current swatch of ENVAs. I really do. But at this point, the game has been revealed. The jig is up. Everyone knows the truth about the strike and its real goal, and I'm frankly tired of having my game enjoyment held hostage by people who should have quite frankly known better. And another comment wanting Paimon to get recast, reading, I hope they can now also recast the white flying turd we have flying right next to us. That takes us over to this exchange back on Twitter, where a Genshin YouTuber said, I really wish there was a better outcome for the English VA situation, but as soon as Hoyo started replacing people, it was evident that they were fighting a losing battle. Response reading, what's crazy about it is that Genshin and other Hoyoverse games aren't even affected by the strike in the first place. The English VAs chose not to record because they wanted higher payments or something like that, with someone else saying it's much more complicated than that, and then a different user responding saying, no, it's not. SAG actors do what SAG does and strike because of AI, quote unquote, when in reality they want absolute control over MiHoYo projects. They hide behind a facade of AI protections. Hoyo already respects AI protections, and rally everyone, including non-union VAs. When their lies were uncovered, the higher-ups at SAG conveniently started enforcing their global Rule 1. Union actors cannot work on union projects. You mean on non-union projects, I think, but continuing. Holding the VAs that do want to go back to work hostage, it's not that complicated. The SAG VAs just tell you it's complicated to have you feel pity for SAG, when in fact, they are the problem. Another response to the initial tweet reading, who was fighting a losing battle? This is SAG's attempt to strong-arm a foreign company into complying with the scummiest contract I've ever seen. Hoyoverse has been incredibly patient with the strike. If anyone is fighting a losing battle, it's SAG. Hoyo isn't going to budge. That seemed to have upset someone else as they say, let's defend the billion-dollar company together, guys, let's go. To which that other user responds, saying if you actually read into it, in this situation, Hoyoverse is in the right. This is something that we've discussed a number of times in the past too, how SAG-AFTRA and a number of the union VAs have come off so unlikable that people are actually defending the corporation, in this example, something that is very rare, but that SAG-AFTRA and those VAs managed to accomplish through how unlikable they are. Congratulations. We'll take a look at a few more examples here. This one saying it was revealed by Rio's VA that it was just the VA's own volition to strike in hopes of getting Hoyo to sign that for better treatment. The better treatment being the agreement that's really, bad agreement for Hoyoverse and bad for non-union VAs. It was a group effort done by them, the union VAs, rather than being orchestrated by SAG-AFTRA, since Hoyo games weren't supposed to be involved. Joe Zija referring to this action as a collective work refusal. The current video game strike, the official one by SAG-AFTRA, is against a number of major Western gaming companies. According to my recollection, companies such as Electronic Arts, Warner Brothers, etc., etc. Now, it does seem like SAG-AFTRA is involved on some level, aside from just having their members involved, with the collective work refusal against Hoyoverse games, as we have seen them trying to act as a mediator, a middleman of sorts, with getting the work refusals demands sent over to Hoyoverse and asking Hoyoverse to sign said demands. Some people speculate that they have more involvement, some less, but factually from what we have seen, they are at the very least trying to get this whole contract forwarded and signed by Hoyo. Ultimately, whatever the case may or may not be, it is still important to remember that SAG is a union built by its members. So by default, by talking about SAG-AFTRA, you are still also talking about its members. Some people try to draw a very clear distinction between the union and the VAs, but the union is made up of the VAs. Now, if we go into further detail, of course, there's a hierarchy, so to speak, with some members not having much involvement. Maybe they just vote here and there.
I'm sitting there.
Others are bringing in a significant amount of money and get things like healthcare benefits, but around 85% of members, according to my recollection, don't qualify for the minimum income to get benefits. So there's varying degrees here, of course, And then there's people who are voted in to have like these executive positions at the union and whatnot. Regardless, though, it is ultimately made up of the members, and some of those are actors, some voice actors. You get the point. What's interesting is when you see lots of people trying to put all the blame on SAG-AFTRA itself and act like the VAs are all innocent when, as we just discussed, the union is built up of its members. And furthermore, as you can see here and elsewhere on the internet, such as Reddit, etc., some people try and cite Erica, the VA for Venti, as proof that SAG is forcing VAs to do certain things and that they don't have free will of their own. For example, this comment that reads, VAs that are part of the union could get blacklisted by SAG-AFTRA if they continue to work. Venti's VA confirmed they are being sent threatening emails by the union. There's a lot more to it, but yeah, VAs are not the main people to blame. Well, in some cases, they are. In some cases, VAs have outspokenly bootlicked for the union and harassed people like Jacob Takanashi. In
Correct.
such cases, absolutely the VAs are also...
I mean, and the guy didn't even know they existed. He wasn't even in the proximity of this entire thing. And they still got in and harassed him for no reason. The dude was just so confused over the entire thing. It was just such a disgusting action. I would say this was one of the actions that didn't make a step in the direction of people despising English voice actors, but just this was a catapult. It catapulted it in a certain direction.
Blame because they're enabling the predatory behavior going on at SAG-AFTRA and harassing people who would stand up to SAG-AFTRA. And this is something that has also happened to Venti's VA. So I find it kind of messed up actually that this person is mentioning Erica here, the VA for Venti, but only mentioning the threatening letters part because it helps their argument as they try to paint all the VAs out as like innocent when Venti's VA Erica actually got harassed by other VAs on Blue Sky when she began to expose SAG. And those VAs were even saying things like Erica deserves to get those letters, and they were trying to downplay them, being like, oh, the letters aren't threatening. This is just what happens. Erica deserves this. So give Erica the credit that she deserves for going up against the corrupt VAs and their corrupt union, and stop enabling the predatory behavior. All right, now let's get some Blue Sky anger. We've got this post that says, I've been hearing murmurings that the English voices for Stell and Kalis in Honkai Star Rail have been recast. Regardless of whether that's true, I just need to reiterate my disappointment in the...
I'm gonna be honest, I do not give a fuck. I do not give a fuck about your freedom of response, freedom of speech. If you're endangering the jobs of other people, get the fuck out. I'm gonna be honest here, there are as soon as your free speech, as you're such a vile person that endangers the jobs, lives, physical, mental health of your coworkers to a big degree, fuck off. That's not your decision to make. If your coworkers, let's just say you're in somebody different, somebody works for you, despite knowing how you are, then it's fine. But if somebody just does the job, is a coworker of yours, and just you're both voice actors that are at a certain degree in the same freaking film or same freaking video game, then shut the fuck up, you fucked up little freak. You're not that important that the lives of others can be made worse just because of you.
Fandom response. That so many people are so ghoulish as to not care about the livelihoods of the VAs that literally give voice to the main characters of their favorite game because how dare they have to play a game for a few months missing some voice acting? I mean, that's part of it, but you're also ignoring how people just didn't like being manipulated by VAs that were lying to them about their demands and what they were trying to do to Hoyo and non-uni VAs. It's funny how this is so often left out by people who are trying to always defend the strike and SAG. They are mindless, petulant black holes of content consumption, and I can't stay. It won't make a difference, but I won't be giving Hoyo any more of my time. It's time to drop Honkai Star Rail and all of MiHoYo's other games. You can see they open with their rage post here with a really gross analogy, and then go on to say, quote, the voice actor union is actually bad, unquote, if you don't get bent. So are they just defending SAG there? Is that what they're trying to like get at, I guess? Quote, they aren't grateful, unquote. Dude, it's a job, you know, the thing neither of us have. And then they get really mad at this post in particular. Looks like it's from Reddit, where this person says, Hoyo has shown more patience than nearly other companies who would fire anyone not working.
Yep.
Especially when there is no official union strike against any Hoyo games. It's unfortunate that it's come to this, but I'm not surprised by the decision after all being unvoiced for so long. Response reading, especially since Honkai Star Rail is a game with 8 hours story patch every patch. It genuinely hurts their whole game because it ruins some people's immersion on the story. They simply can't wait any longer since we're closing on the ending of the first half of Amorphous. Actually, that's Amphorius, I think, my bad. They closed their rant by saying, I don't write about games much anymore except for my own blogs, so I feel okay making fun of these people. Well, I mean, all we really got out of this is that you're defending a corrupt union, so congratulations, I guess. But look at this. Elsewhere on Blue Sky, there were some people actually defending Hoyoverse. For example, this person says, at this point, voice actors getting recast like that in Hoyo games don't feel so surprising. It just feels so hurtful that they can just throw people away like that. All they want is protection. Is it that hard? Sigh. Well, once again, we know they want a lot more than that. But this response says, what could have happened when you refused to work for no valid and official reason? In this exchange, we can see someone says, as much as I didn't want it to happen, they withheld work. It was bound to happen. It's been ridiculous to not have the main character voiced since 2.6, 4 patches. I'm not celebrating them losing the roles, but I am happy to finally have the character voiced again. No hate their way or the Nouviers.
Yeah.
Ignoring the fact.
It's... I know it's maybe... The point is maybe, but no point towards them. No, your actions speak for. The point that I want to make. If somebody says no hate towards them, for me it's mostly a red flag that that person is a very gigantic a-hole. Your actions, your word, speak for themselves. If I punch somebody and tell them I didn't punch them, it doesn't delete the fact that I fucking punched them.
That most video games went on voice/minimal VAing back in the day just so you can rip on people's livelihoods is real rich. Bro, this person was so respectful about it, and this guy is still getting like enraged, like seething over it. Oh my gosh, it gets worse. Look at this. I hope you lose your job to AI one day, and I hope AI prevents you from finding another one. Holy smokes, dude. The SAG-AFTRA bootlickers are crazy. They're always so like mad and weird sounding, man. What are you on about? I know you aren't talking about the strike against MiHoYo. And back in the day, my guy, the strike hasn't even passed a year. I know critical thinking is hard for kids these days, but we can't hold your hand through it anymore. Not that I expect much from a selfish redacted. Bro, are you stupid? You didn't even make a point to begin with. Go ahead and reread what I wrote and come up with something that actually is relevant to what I said, instead of digging up insults, you dunce. One last thing we'll take a look at here. Do you remember months back near the beginning of this whole situation, when a number of VAs went to Reddit to try and defend SAG-AFTRA and the strike by continuing to spread a false narrative, to which people on Reddit called them out, some simply asking questions, and these VAs responded by either dodging and not answering and or blocking people, or giving like manipulative lies as a response, to which they got mass downvoted? Well, we'll take a look at this comment from 2 months ago really quick, and you'll see why in a second. It reads, they can't see it on Blue Sky. I asked a few of them to clarify, and they called me names, said I was anti-worker and pro-billion-dollar company, and blocked me. Kit Harrison, Shara Kirby, both did, since I was replying to a thread where they were both in. Blue Sky is great as a safe space for the vileness of Twitter, but I think a lot of people treat it more like a blog than social media. The reason we're taking a look at this again is because I was thinking of a number of the VAs who were on Reddit trying to defend the strike and all that stuff, and I did recall Kit Harrison. So I went over to Blue Sky to Kit...
Oh, for fuck's sake. If somebody tries to defend the strike, tell them the facts. If they still defend the strike, try to show them how toxic those people were. if they still support the strike, phase out of their life piece by piece.
Harrison's account to see if he had anything to say about the recent recasts. And there actually wasn't anything that I saw. Doesn't seem like he's talking about it. But there is one thing that I thought was rather interesting and gives some insight onto the VA work. That being this post where he talks about money. The context is, he says, 2 days ago, was driving home yesterday and a pheasant flew headlong into my wing mirror from the side. Heck of a shock. You shouldn't dwell on these things, but if I was driving at any different speed, it would have been way, way worse. Watch out for low-flying birds, kids. First of all, bro, sucks what happened to your car. But that takes us to the quote that he made of that post where he adds on to it saying, "Arg, 75 euros for a new wing mirror and 450 euros for a new door window? Anyone needs circa 1 hour of high-quality voice acting?" So you're telling me these guys actually get paid? Like, this guy is trying to get paid what is like close to $600 USD for an hour of voice acting? And no offense to this guy, but he's...
Wait, what? Euros? Are you shitting me? Is that somewhere? Because we actually got, or the euro, where is it? Oops. No, oops. Yeah, come on, am I boomering? Yeah. That's the fucking thing, we in Europe actually use the euro, so... I don't know why this looks more like dollars. Or was it dollars? I think it was dollars. If I'm wrong, just tell me, acolytes.
USD for an hour of voice acting? And no offense to this guy, but he's not exactly a household name. Doesn't exactly have like a big credit list here. And still wants like 600 USD around for around an hour of VA work? Is that really what these people are trying to charge? That's just crazy in my opinion. So yeah, please let me know what you guys think about that. Am I reading that wrong, or is he really trying to charge like 600, just about 600 USD for an hour of VA work? And it takes me back too really quick to something I covered months ago where there was the, what was that creepypasta thing? Ben Drowned, I think. Yeah, the creator Ben Drowned put out a like ad for like needing some background voices, and a bunch of people on Twitter were mad with what he was trying to pay, asking for like hundreds of dollars just to say a few lines. And that sounds so crazy then. But apparently, yeah, these people really do think they should get like paid hundreds for a few lines or like 600 for an hour. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think it's a great look, but maybe I'm reading it wrong. I don't think I am, but if I am, let me know in the comments. And
you're reading it correctly. This is the thing that a lot of young people don't understand. You're not famous. You're not particularly talented at your job at that point. You don't have the experience for your job at that point. You're just not worth the money. There are exceptions to the rule, but you're just not. There is a gigantic difference between somebody who goes freshly in the job, and somebody who actually works 10 years in the job. Because normally it's not even about the thing that you do. It's always in the detail. Normally, if you have experience in the job that you're doing, you can do it quicker, better, and at a better quality than somebody that just freshly went into it. That's not even to shit on the young generation here, or somebody that freshly went out of their profession and just learned everything. Before you master something, it takes time. And some people never master their things. And that's the point. Or at least, I'm gonna be honest, acolytes, maybe I'm overdoing it right now, because that was the point, let's just say 20 years ago, where if you actually could show, okay, I am this and this good at this and this particular thing, and I get better and better at it, that you can actually, well, get better money, a better job at it. Right now, it's just pure politics in the job, and you just have to talk correctly, and that's these days it's different. But yes, freaks like that actually want way more money than they deserve.
You know what you think about all this stuff, including that little bonus at the end, little insight into the VA stuff here. Hope you enjoyed the coverage. If you did,
Yeah, it was funny. And sorry for the little thing in between that because, well, I misclicked. Simple as that. I actually want to cover the drama between Hassan and the others at some point. But this thing here specifically, hey, English voice actor, got freaking done. I'm happy about it. I am just so happy about it because let them get shafted. It's good. It's very, very. Give people who actually do their job correctly, and don't wanna farm fucking good boy points on social media a chance. Just let them. Just let those people have a big, gigantic piece of the pie. Not freaks like this, but as it is, acolytes. Good night.